7.5 lap journey for the Castella 3,000 metres, the showcase of junior men's distance running. Zach Patterson in the hip number 1, Reilly Shaw, the ACT athlete who's moved his way down to the Deakin Club in Geelong. Jack Davies, who's the top 5 finisher here before. James O'Connell from Box Hill. Stapleton is one to watch from New South Wales. Mitchell Dyer, Cale Adams from Tasmania, Brodie Medini, the Queenslander. He has his sights set on a World Youth Championship qualifying time. Jack Holden of St Kevin's Club, Ben Chamberlain, the West Australian, Joshua Torley from the ACT, Matthew Ramsden, William McCann, Riley Cox from South Australia. We saw his brother in the Malinowski steeple earlier. Bryce Anderson from New South Wales, Stewart McSweyn, Hugh Nicolason from Tasmania, Jordan McLennan and Ben Kelly. Ryan Patterson, the brother of Zach. 2 brothers in this race will make for an interesting battle. Isaac Hockey, a medalist in the junior ranks over the distance. Ryan Power from Tasmania rounds out the 24 athlete field. And they've settled into their work. It's bunched nice and tightly together. I'm not sure if we're going to be seeing fast times here this evening, Tamsin, but a big field of 24. It's going to be an entertaining race to say the least, because there's some really top-end talent that are about to explode on the track tonight.
Again, with such a big field, you're hoping that they do go for a time because it'll spread them out a little bit, but obviously it's a bit congested in there at the minute. If you're in the middle of the pack, you could be stuck in there for a little while until somebody injects some pace in at the front.
So at the front of the field, in the hip number 23, or 22 rather, that's the New Zealand runner, Jacob Pridno. We've seen him across in Australia a couple of times. He was 7th in the event last year. He's come off a 3rd place in the New Zealand schools titles very recently. Ran an 8:34, so he's in pretty good shape, and he's leading the field into the back straight. You can see the tall figure of Patterson and Stapleton behind him. And they're where you want them to be at the front end of the field. I guess it's important, Tams, that in a congested field of 24, you make sure you have your own space, because you don't want to be caught out if one of the leaders goes. You don't want to have to make up too much ground to get on that move.
Especially the further the distance, the smoother the race that you want it to be. So obviously, sometimes in races that are of a longer distance, you don't want to be out the front for as long. But when it is congested, sometimes being that front runner is the best place to be, because you can have the smooth run, you can set the pace, and you're out of trouble. But it's still pretty congested in there. Hopefully they will start to kick away pretty soon so that they spread it out.
So see Ryan Patterson there, Stewart McSweyn then in the front, the Queenslander as well, Jordan McLennan in the orange top at the front. So they're through 2:55.64 at the K. So it's an earnest pace at the front end of the field.
Now, Stewart McSweyn's been training with the Ballarat project down there. He's been running with Brett Robinson, who's going to come up in the 10K soon, and David McNeil, who's also in the 10K, which is coming up next. So he should be in good shape, and he's one to watch in this field.
Some pretty handy training partners. We'll just turn our attention quickly away from the race. Up on the scoreboard, we have the official results for the women's Zatopek 10, taken out by Veronica Wanjiru of Kenya, and they're cycling through on the scoreboard now. But we can just start to see back on the track now, the field just stretching out now. It was bunched, and it's now 24 athletes long, and it's just starting to open up. We saw Pretty, who led through the early stages. He's dropped back into 2nd, but leading the way, William McCann of South Australia. The outside of him in the orange top, that's Riley Cox. Inside it's Pretty. Patterson's a bit further back in the red top, but our main contenders are still there at the front end of the field. But the pace just starting to quicken, and it's the South Australian that's just starting to turn the screws.
So you'll see the gentlemen carrying their ball from the infield. This is the 3,000 metres pass to the middle up there. An update from the field there with Wilson right the green and black in each one. So the average is now 24 hours to 10. 20. All behaved as well. Cameron Sherry with the green over tonight. Come back to the wins. Unfortunately, for the Lakers, just short of the long.
So the big guns are where you'd expect them to be in this 3,000 metres. Jack Stapleton's at the front. Zach Patterson in the red top. That's Stapleton in the orange behind him. Pretty, the New Zealanders, just a couple of places back. Still at the front of the field though. Reilly Cox, the South Australian, amongst them. But it's Patterson, the tall figure in red, down the back straight. Sitting second at this stage. Stapleton behind him, along with Cox in the light blue. And the field just started to fracture further. The screws being turned 5:42.57 at 2,000 metres. There's still a lot of athletes there for 1,000 metres to go, Tamsin, and you're just waiting for someone to make a move because it's been slowly adjusting the pace, but no one's really started to make a definitive break for the line.
It shows the quality of the field. There's a lot of depth in it because even when they've injected pace, everyone's been able to respond. So it's going to be a real sprint finish, and it's going to be whoever has the best kick. And you know, as I said, it's that time of year where a lot of them might be in heavier training, so it'll come down to a finishing kick. It's still really rough in there. You can see a lot of arms being thrown about, and it's just nice to see that everyone's still on their feet.
I just saw Patterson just outstretch an arm to the race leader in Ben Chamberlain and just asked if he could just please give him a little bit more space. Very polite of him, I would have thought. It's, I guess, 1,000 metres out, they can afford some niceties. If it was the bell lap, I think it might have been something different, Tam.
It's a nice way to say hurry it up by just putting your hand on the back of somebody, of a fellow competitor. But I think sometimes, because it is so congested up there, you get pushed onto the other runner, and the only thing to do is to put your hand out. Otherwise, you'll put your feet on their spikes, and that's when they can possibly trip. So they've managed to all stay on their field. They've kept it quite gentlemanly out there, and the kick's got to come in soon. So I think they're all ready to pounce.
I'm not sure how much gentlemanly it's going to be for the rest of the way through now, because the Patterson's gone to the front. That's Zach Patterson, and up onto his shoulder now looks like Stapleton. Jack Davies from Ballarat, another one of the athletes from up there, into third place. And it's going to be Patterson and Stapleton. Davies trying to go with them. Behind there, Joshua Tawley, the ACT, but the bell goes. 1 lap to go on the Castella, 3,000 metres, and it's the Victorian and the New South Welshman going head to head. And we recall last year it was Jacob Birtwistle and Patterson that went head to head, and it was Birtwistle on that occasion. Patterson was second. Patterson was second the year before. This is for the one he's wanted for 3 years, the gold medal, the first place in the Castella 3,000 metres, and it's Patterson in the lead. 200 metres to go in the red. Stapleton in the orange, the New South Welshman on his shoulder. 2 World Junior representatives, shoulder to shoulder. Into the stretch here, the Victorian will lead. Patterson in the red. Stapleton will have to go round him if he wants it. Patterson tries to find a gear. Stapleton's trying to shift through his. Patterson desperately hanging on in the red. Stapleton on the outside. Patterson holding on. Patterson will do enough. Third time lucky for Zach Patterson. The Castella 3,000 metres is his. 8:15.70 for the Victorian. It's the one he wanted, and it's the one he got.